In the Impact segment tonight, some controversy surrounding an Islamic mosque and cultural center in the works at Ground Zero. The imam responsible for this project, Feisal Abdul Rauf, has conducted some post-9/11 sensitivity training for the FBI, but he's also made some questionable remarks about America's behavior toward Muslims. Joining us now from New York, the imam's wife, Daisy Khan, the executive director of the American Society for Muslim Advancement. And Daisy, before we get into this, I know you were listening to our previous segment about the culture war with the war against Christmas and these ads, and you wanted to comment.
Yeah, I was most intrigued because I don't think that there is a war between people who are believers. I think our real issue is bringing people who disbelieve and have absolutely no notion of what God is and believe in the existence of God. And this is what our faith communities should be doing together, to work on a common platform to remove this kind of ignorance against God.
All right. Well, I like the backup you give me on that. Let's talk about the Islamic Center at Ground Zero. Questions. I can't find many people who really have a problem with it. Bloomberg is for it. You got rabbis in New York saying they don't have a problem with it. Why near Ground Zero? Why did you choose that space?
Well, I think the closeness of the center to Ground Zero, first and foremost, is a blow to the extremists. And you know, we Muslims are really fed up, Laura, of having to be defined by the actions of the extremists. You know, we are law-abiding citizens, we are faithful people, we are very good Americans, and we need to project a different message of Islam, one of tolerance, love, and the kinds of commonalities we have with other faith communities. And this center will be dedicated to promoting what it means to be Muslim, but what it also means to be American. And that is the real message that needs to get out.
When you see surveys, and I know your group takes a moderate approach to, you know, Americanizing people, assimilating people, which I applaud. I think that's fantastic. But when you see Pew's survey, the global survey that came out, what is that, 18 months ago or so, global opinions of Muslims, especially younger male Muslims, on a number of issues, including whether jihad is morally justifiable, the figures are disturbing to me, and I was wondering what your thoughts were.
Well, once again, our faith has been defined by people who have political agendas, and what they do is they use religion as a veneer to mobilize people. And what we have to do is talk about what is the central core of all faiths, which is the love of God. And this is the message, and this is why we want to create a center so close to Ground Zero to promote a different message, one that most majority of Muslims live. I mean, the extremists are a fraction of a fraction of a fraction, and they don't represent the majority view. And what we are afraid of is that they become the center and the majority, and we have to stop that.
The problem is, and we're going to get to your husband's comment from back in 2004 in a minute, but Pope Benedict has asked for parity, or kind of a reciprocity, that, look, we'll have a mosque in Rome, and absolutely have a mosque in Rome, freedom of religion, but let's have a cathedral or a Catholic church in Saudi Arabia. Now, how far do you think he got with that? I mean, or Lebanon today. Try to build a new church in Lebanon, you know, previously a hotbed of Christianity, and you don't get anywhere. So that's what kind of upsets Christians, especially with what's happening to Christians in Iraq and in Iran and places like that.
Yeah, well, I completely agree with you, because if you look at the history of Muslims and you look at, the pluralism that existed within Islamic history over the last 1400 years, there used to be great mosques and great cathedrals and churches and synagogues in every place. What has happened is that there's a new interpretation that has crept in, one of intolerance and one of non-acceptance. And this, we have to push back against that and bring back what, our religion says. There is no compulsion in religion, which means you can disbelieve and believe in other faith communities, because
Daisy,
yeah.
Let's get into what your husband said in 2004, because this is a sticking point with a lot of people. A Sydney Morning Herald interview, he was quoted as saying, "It was Christians in World War II who bombed civilians in Dresden and Hiroshima, neither of which were military targets. He placed some blame on Christians for starting mass attacks on civilians." That disturbs a lot of people, because look, a lot of American soldiers died liberating Muslims around the world, in Kuwait and Bosnia, and they didn't appreciate that.
Well, I don't think he meant it that way. I think what he was trying to say is that, when we have a small crime, then there is such a huge response to that, where there's a calamity on such a large scale that you know, we have to look at what the law says, and Christianity is defined by love, and when things are done in the name of Christianity, like, you know,
well, we didn't wage World War II in the name of Christianity. That's the difference. Our fighter pilots weren't screaming Allahu Akbar, you know, or the equivalent in English, obviously, praise be to God. I mean, that's I just think I'd amend that if I were he. I'd kind of go back and redo that statement. But I like what you're trying to do, and Ms. Khan, we appreciate it. And come on my radio show sometime. We appreciate it very
we need
much.
the support of people like you, seriously. So we look forward to working with you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Daisy, take care. And when we come back.